Hello and welcome to Aspire to Health. Ever wondered why we reach for food when we're stressed or upset? This isn't just a random act of indulgence, but rather a fascinating interplay between our emotions and the complex hardware of our brain. Comfort eating is a phenomenon that many of us are all too familiar with. Picture this. It's been a long, hard day. You're feeling emotionally drained, and all you want is to curl up on the couch with a tub of your favorite ice cream. Or perhaps you're feeling anxious about an upcoming presentation, and suddenly, you find yourself mindlessly munching on a bag of chips. These instances aren't just about satisfying a craving, but rather, they're about seeking solace in something that's familiar and comforting. Now, you might think this behavior is a bit peculiar, but rest assured, it's more common than you might believe. In fact, many of us, perhaps unknowingly, have used food as a coping mechanism at some point in our lives. It's like a warm hug in the form of your favorite dish, providing temporary relief from the whirlwind of emotions you might be experiencing. But why does this happen? Why does our mind steer us towards food during times of stress or sadness? The answer lies in the intricate workings of our brain. When we're stressed or upset, our brain triggers a response that seeks to alleviate these negative feelings. And one of the ways our brain does this is by signaling us to eat, especially foods that are high in sugar and fat. It's our brain's way of trying to make us feel better. So the next time you find yourself reaching for that tub of ice cream after a tough day, remember, it's not just a craving, it's your brain's way of trying to make you feel better. But what exactly is happening in our brains when we turn to food for comfort, you may ask? Well, let's dive into the science of it. The story begins with a hormone called cortisol. Often referred to as the stress hormone, cortisol plays a crucial role in how our bodies respond to stressful situations. When we're stressed, our bodies go into fight or flight mode, and cortisol levels rise to provide us with the energy we need to handle the situation. But there's a catch. Cortisol doesn't just give us a burst of energy. It also stimulates our appetite. The body's reasoning is simple. If we're using up energy to deal with stress, we need to replenish that energy by eating. And this can lead to increased hunger when we're stressed, even if we've eaten enough. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Not all foods are created equal in the eyes of cortisol. Our bodies crave quick sources of energy when we're stressed, and that often means high-fat, high-sugar foods. You know those times when you're feeling overwhelmed and all you want is a large slice of cake or a bag of chips? That's cortisol at work. But it's not just about immediate energy. These high-fat, high-sugar foods also stimulate the release of chemicals in our brains that make us feel good. They provide a sort of temporary relief from the stress we're experiencing, which can make them even more appealing when we're feeling down. So, while it might feel good in the moment to reach for that tub of ice cream after a stressful day, it's important to remember that this is a biological response to stress. And like all biological responses, it can be managed and controlled. So, stress doesn't just make us feel bad emotionally, it can also have a real impact on our eating habits. But understanding the science behind stress eating can empower us to make healthier choices, even when life gets tough. But there's another player in the game of comfort eating, dopamine. Now, dopamine is a type of neurotransmitter, a chemical messenger that transmits signals in the brain and other areas of the body. It's often referred to as the feel-good neurotransmitter because of its role in pleasure and reward. When we eat certain foods, especially those high in sugar, fat, and salt, our bodies respond by releasing dopamine. This release creates a sensation of pleasure and satisfaction, which is why we often turn to these types of foods when we're feeling stressed or down. It's a bit like getting a big, warm hug from the inside. However, this is more than just an emotional response. This dopamine release is a physical reaction, a part of our body's built-in reward system. It's designed to reinforce beneficial behaviors like eating when we're hungry. But when we start to use food as a source of comfort rather than nourishment, this system can start to work against us. Here's how. The more often we eat these dopamine-releasing foods, the more our brains start to associate them with feeling good. This creates a cycle where we crave these foods more often, leading us to eat them even when we're not hungry. And because these foods are often high in calories, this can result in weight gain over time. But that's not all. The more we rely on these foods for comfort, the more our brains become desensitized to the dopamine release. This means we need to eat more of these foods to get the same level of pleasure, which can lead to overeating. So, while that slice of chocolate cake might make you feel good for a moment, it's important to remember the long-term effects of comfort eating. It's not just about the immediate pleasure it brings, but also the cycle it creates, one that can be difficult to break. As we move forward, we'll explore how we can break this cycle and develop healthier eating habits. So, how can we break the cycle of stress eating? Well, there are several strategies that we can employ to manage stress and reduce comfort eating. First, let's talk about regular exercise. Exercise is a powerful antidote to stress. It helps to release endorphins, those feel-good chemicals in our bodies that act as natural painkillers and mood elevators. Whether it's a brisk walk in the park, a swim in the pool, or a yoga session, regular physical activity can help to combat stress and reduce the urge to reach for those comfort foods. Next, mindfulness techniques. Mindfulness is about being present in the moment, aware of our thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations without judgment. Techniques like deep breathing, meditation, and yoga can help us to become more mindful, reducing our stress levels and helping us to resist the urge to comfort eat. By recognizing and acknowledging our feelings of stress, we can deal with them in a healthier manner rather than resorting to food for comfort. Now, let's discuss making healthier food choices. We're not talking about dieting or depriving ourselves here. Instead, it's about choosing foods that nourish our bodies and minds, rather than those that simply provide a temporary sugar rush. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, such as fatty fish, walnuts, and flax seeds, can help to reduce stress. Similarly, foods high in vitamin C like oranges and strawberries can help to regulate our stress hormones. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, we need to address the underlying cause of our stress. Is it work-related? Is it due to personal relationships? Or perhaps it's financial? Whatever the cause, it's crucial to tackle the root of the problem rather than just the symptoms. This might involve seeking professional help, such as a therapist or counselor. Remember, it's not about denying yourself comfort food. It's about finding healthier ways to manage stress. By implementing these strategies, we can break the cycle of stress eating and lead happier, healthier lives. So what have we learned about comfort eating? Over the past few minutes, we've journeyed through the fascinating world of comfort eating, uncovering the science behind this common behavior and exploring strategies for managing it. It's been an enlightening dive, revealing that comfort eating is more than just a simple response to stress. It's a complex interplay of hormones and brain chemistry, deeply intertwined with our emotions and our environment. We've learned how stress triggers an increase in the hormone cortisol, which can stimulate our appetite and drive us to seek out high-fat, high-sugar foods. These foods, often referred to as comfort foods, provide a temporary relief from stress, creating a cycle that's easy to fall into but hard to break. Then, we delved into the role of dopamine, the neurotransmitter that rewards us with feelings of pleasure when we eat these comfort foods. Dopamine doesn't just make us feel good, it makes us want to repeat the behavior that led to the reward. It's the reason why, once we start stress eating, it can be so difficult to stop. But we also explored how it's possible to break the cycle of comfort eating. We discussed strategies like mindfulness, physical activity, and seeking out social support. These strategies can help us manage stress in healthier ways, reducing our reliance on comfort foods and helping us foster a healthier relationship with food. It's also important to remember that it's okay to indulge in comfort eating sometimes. It's a normal response to stress, and there's no shame in seeking comfort in food. The key is to recognize when it's becoming a habit and to have strategies in place to manage it. So the next time you're feeling stressed and find yourself reaching for the cookie jar, take a moment to pause. Remember the science behind comfort eating and consider whether there might be a healthier way to cope with your stress. Thank you for joining me as we aspire to health. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.